What the heck is up, everyone? We're back again. It's been like a couple weeks. I know you probably missed my voice. I guess not. If you did, I don't care if you did or not. But whatever. Anyway, on today's topic, game shows. What are game shows? Why am I even asking this question? We all know what game shows are. Family Feud, like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, all that fun stuff. We're gonna get started on Family Feud, hosted by Steve Harvey. Ever since I don't even know how long, since in the mid to early 2010s until today. Basically, if you ever heard of Family Feud, you know of Steve Harvey. And without Steve Harvey, I would refuse to watch Family Feud. Like if they replaced him tomorrow, I would never watch it again. I would just watch old clips on YouTube. So basically, what Family Feud is, you and a group of your 5 family members go. I think they film in Atlanta, Georgia. They just ask a survey of questions, and it could be on pretty much anything as long it's like supposed to be family friendly, but there's of course some adult stuff, which I'm not going to talk about. But Family Feud has some like funny answers to the questions. Like if like for one example, there's in one he said name something that's hard for you to do with your eyes open, and I kid you not, one person said read, like reading with your eyes open. Another one was like name a word that follows the word pork. Someone said cupine, as in like porcupine. Needless to say, it was not up there. Who would have guessed? But Steve Harvey was right. It was not number one on the board, but it was number one on YouTube. Like he always says, like if it's not up there, it's definitely going to be big on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube and Family Feud, there is a lot, and I mean a lot of funny clips. Like whatever, like you could watch a whole episode of clips just on YouTube. Like there's ones like about in-laws, wives, like stuff that would get people divorced. Um, and of course, like if you're on YouTube Shorts, sometimes you'll come across some Family Feud clips. Like it's everywhere. Everywhere there's Family Feud. Even in other countries, there's like a Canadian version, an British version. Anyway, I guess next we're just gonna talk about Jeopardy. Jeopardy, which is pretty much the most classic game show you could ever think of whenever you hear the word game show. Basically, like questions, 5 questions. Like in the first round, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 1,000, and then second round, it's 4, 8, 12, 16, 2,000. And there's a chance where you could double your money or lose it. It's called Double Jeopardy. It's called can't remember. I haven't watched it in a while, but like I think it's like I honestly don't remember what it's called, but the second round is called Double Jeopardy, and the final round, where you can bet pretty much anything, is well, you can pretty much bet anything if you got over $0. Because if you get below $0 in the final round, you just get eliminated. So basically, you could bet anything, like from the amount of money you have up to $1 or even nothing. But basically, if you're a one away, like if there's no chance that anyone could ever catch up to you, your best bet is to just bet zero. Because if they bet because if everything else, because basically you just won if you basically have everything, more than double of your next second contestant. Before it was like hosted by Alex Trebek, pretty much the best game show host. Yeah, Alex Trebek is. I review. I haven't watched Jeopardy in a while, just because no one can replace Alex Trebek as the host. Ken Jennings, yeah, he's good. He's the best winner, but it doesn't replace Alex. Come on. If you prefer Ken over Alex, I don't know what to tell you. You haven't grown up. You haven't grown up, right? Basically, there's like questions. I used to watch with my grandmother a lot. Like I always like I'm good with geography, so I was like good with the geography questions. But in Jeopardy, you have to answer. You have to answer in the form of questions like what is, who is, where is, what was. So if something is like, I don't know, let's say the country of Somalia, you can't just say Somalia. You have to say what is Somalia, like as if you're asking a question. And basically, now that I'm saying that, I need to talk about one thing about Jeopardy. It's basically they give you answers and you have to answer. Then you have to ask the questions, which they would have to answer the question. I know we just talked about this, but going back to Family Feud, if you like if the family wins like 5 games in a row, they win a car and $20,000. If $20,000 if they get 200 points on the fast money round. And yet to this point, I don't even think I saw like Steve Harvey witness 200 points in the first round of fast money. The most I've seen on like a clip on YouTube is like 199 out of 200 on the first round. Basically, if you answer the if you give the same answer on the second round, you basically have to give a second answer, a different one. And pretty much every time like Steve Harvey gives an answer, he always says survey says, and then it's either a ding or an X. Like survey says, and then either you're wrong or you're not. Either you're wrong or you're right. Also, if by the end of the fourth round, no team gets 300 points, they had to do sudden death, which is basically like the number one answer on the. But you only have to get the number one answer, which is pretty much an easy one. Like in one example, I don't know how someone got this wrong, but in the Canadian version, one of the sudden death rounds was name Popeye's favorite food. Someone said chicken, like the fast food place, but in reality, it was spinach. I don't know how anyone could have gotten that wrong, but what are you gonna do about it? Anyway, Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune was anyone who grew up watching it is basically like Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Now Pat Sajak retired. Now it's like Ryan Seacrest. Like he's everywhere nowadays. Before he was like with Kelly Ripa. Now he even has a radio show on Z100. Basically, he's pretty much everywhere you think of. Even on like America's Got Talent or American Idol, out of one of those two. So anyway, Wheel of Fortune is basically luck based. You spin the wheel, and it's either money, bankrupt, or a prize stage or a prize. And again, it's luck based. You have to guess a letter, and if it's not there, it goes to someone else. If it's there, you get to spin again, and then if it's bankrupt, you lose everything. It's basically like you don't have any you don't need any skill on this. You're like good with words, unlike Jeopardy, which you need which you actually need some smartness, as well as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which we'll get to next. Now there's like been 3 like people who won $1 million on Wheel of Fortune, but it's like not very often. Like only 3 people out of like decades and decades have ever won $1 million. And it's basically like you have to win the $1 million wedge. You have to make it all the way through the final round, and then you have to hope that the final wheel spin lands on that spot. If you don't get the million and you land on that same spot, it would usually be $100,000. Basically, there's a prize round on the third round all the time. It's usually just like what do you call it? It's usually like It's usually like in a tropical destination like St. Lucia or the Bahamas or Barbados or something. But then, like if you don't get any points, at least you win $1,000. Now again, this time we're just gonna talk about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Basically, it's you work your way up. Like you start with like 0, then 5, then it goes up and up until $1 million. You have like 3 or 4 lifelines, like calling someone. You could eliminate half of the answers. You could even call for the audience to vote for what they think, which is not always accurate. But what I remember from like YouTube and stuff is that the first winner of the show actually called his dad, not to ask for help, but to actually say that he's actually going to win $1 million, which is actually a good move on his part because he actually did. Now in the UK version, there's an infamous cheating scandal. It's not a scandal because it actually happened, but basically in September of 2001, there was a contestant on the British version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where basically he basically knew nothing. Like in the first like 3 rounds, he would lose like half of his lifelines. But he still won $1 million. But get this: whenever he would just read every single answer, his wife in the audience, and every single time he read the right answer, she would just cough and give away the answer. So like he would go through every answer. Like when the last one, there was like in the last answer it was like one followed by 100 zeros. He went through every single answer. Like there was like Google, Megatron, other things. But once he said Google, there was an obvious coughing sound in the background. And that's not just with the final one. It was pretty much basically with every single one. Not just his wife, but also other fellow contestant who basically worked together with that. Now, of course, the production team was like sketchy about all this happening because they did an investigation, and when they found that he cheated, they basically like lost $1 million and was sued in court, and actually I think facing jail time. Because think about it, you need to be smart in order to. You can't cheat anywhere in life in order to go ahead. There's a couple more game shows I'm going to talk about that everyone pretty much knows, like The Price is Right. There's some funny things I'm going to get into it in a few minutes, but basically, like you have to guess prices of pretty much anything, and at the end, at the halfway point and towards the end, you spin a big wheel, and whoever spins closest to $1 without going over, or actually just getting $1, is like most likely going to go to the final round, the showcase round. But like even in the beginning, like in the not in the beginning of the series, but like the start of each episode, it's like there's like you could win a small prize, and if you win that, you could what do you call it? Win bigger prizes. Sometimes it's a car, sometimes it's a vacation, sometimes it's an SUV, a boat, and sometimes it's usually a trip. But whenever I watch it, sometimes I think like, what if they already live in that city? Like, let's say they have a trip round trip to I don't know, let's say Chicago. Let's say the person's there is from Chicago. Like, what the hell are they going to do with that? You know, like, what do they do? Do they just transfer it with? Do they just get more money? Do they just like transfer it to a different gift, to a different prize? I don't know. So anyway, whoever gets the close in the final round, it's like several things at once, like a pool table, trips, cars, SUVs, yachts, even. Basically, you have to get closest to the actual price without going over. Now, if you now both go over, then no one wins anything. There's even a point where if you get close enough to the actual amount of money, like I think within $250, you actually win both. You actually win both of them. Now this goes into my next point. There's actually a person who actually guessed the winning combination, who guessed the winning price of the Price is Right on the final round, the exact number. People said he was cheating, but like he wasn't cheating. You can't cheat if it's like you're memorizing everything. Like you studied pretty much Price is Right for like years and years and years. If you're basically you basically have to he was basically memorizing the whole thing. And you can't he's not cheating if you're just memorizing it. But after that, basically they just change it so it's all random so that it can't happen again. In order to actually like participate, you have to guess closest to the actual price without going over. That's why you see like in if you're wagering something or if you're watching the show, you actually see people saying like, let's say someone says like 1,000, someone says like 500, someone says 501 or 1,001. Now the only way for that to happen for you to win that is if it's exactly $1,000, because if it's more, the person who bet 1,001 has basically clinched the victory, so to say. It's right now it's hosted by Drew Carey, but before it was hosted by Bob Barker, who recently passed away. He was like 99, and there's a joke in There's a joke online. They're saying like he was the close. He was like closest to hitting a dollar without reaching or going over. Like, is a joke to the show. Anyway, next game show we're gonna talk about. It's called Let's Make a Deal. This one, in my opinion, is a bit weirder because because like you wear a costume to the production. Like, I'm not just talking about like in the Price is Right, you like wear like a certain kind of shirt, like Price is Right shirt. But in Let's Make a Deal, it's basically like Halloween costumes, like in the game show. Like, you could be dressed as a, I don't know, traffic cone. I've seen people dressed as like anime characters. Someone as like Popeye the Sailor Man. I mean, they can do that because they're supposed to. I just don't understand the appeal. But like the show is like kind of fun. Like they like it's kind of like The Price is Right, but like you have to make a deal with the host. You either get curtain one or a smaller object, and you never know. The smaller object might be a big prize, and the big one and the large curtain might be a zonk, which is basically like nothing at all. Like, you did all that for nothing. You could win cars, trips, and then but at the end, the big one, the big showcase final round, you have to either give up your you can you in order to participate in the final round, you basically have to give up your prize in order to probably win a bigger prize. And the bigger prize is like either one of three things. And imagine like you get a car, but then you want to risk it all and just get like a boat while you just live in an apartment. Like, you can't even like you live in an apartment in the middle of the Arizona desert. Like, you can't even get that. I mean, you could sell that for money, but you just wasted it. And I guess the final one I'm going to talk about right now is Deal or No Deal. It's basically like what's his name? Howie Mandel. He was the host of the show. Basically, like, you get like 32 boxes or briefcases, and you basically have to eliminate every single one. That's like at first you have to pick a briefcase, and then you eliminate every single one. Besides, you have to eliminate every single one. The hope is to get $1 million. Now, the hope is that you eliminate the first round. It starts with a penny, and that's like 50 cents, a dollar, and then all of it goes up to $1 million. If you eliminate the million on the first round, that's not a good look on you. Because if you like lower because if you got lower on the first like 3 or 4, there's like the banker that tries to negotiate a price for you to buy your briefcase for you. Whether it be like $2,000, $15,000. Basically, if you don't have $1 million yet and there's like still 2 or 3 if there's like 2 or 3 left and there's $1 million in there and the $1 million still in there, there's like a 1 in 3 you still have it. It's basically like a guessing game, guessing elimination game. But I haven't watched that in a couple years. But yeah. But in my opinion, the best game show is obviously Family Feud. Family Feud, in my opinion, like it's always funny. Like, if I'm ever like bored and want to have a laugh, I just put on Family Feud clips on YouTube. And even in like they reference Family Feud in like other shows, like in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They even have a whole episode like of Family Feud dupe. And basically, yeah. Basically, game shows are very popular in this day and age, and Steve Harvey is always going to be Family Feud's mascot. Survey says, wait, and survey says, yeah, that's that. I don't know why I said that.